Hi, we are Group 3, and we will be presenting the pro-humane euthanasia in animal shelters argument. My name is Hannah Johnston. So let's get started with some background. What exactly is humane euthanasia? Humane euthanasia literally translates to good death, but it is taken to mean a quick and painless death. But why exactly are we talking about it? Humane euthanasia is used for a variety of reasons. Maybe your pet is sick and won't get better, so your veterinarian thinks it's the best option. For the purpose of our argument, we will be discussing its use in animal shelters. Because of many reasons like pet overpopulation, shelter capacity, shelter care, we feel that humane euthanasia in animal shelters is necessary. Our first argument is the unwanted pet population. What exactly is pet overpopulation? According to the American Humane, it encompasses two things: allowing cats and dogs to reproduce without certainty of a proper home for the offspring, and the pets being given up by the owners who can no longer provide or no longer want to provide care for them. According to the ASPCA, approximately 6.5 million animals enter animal shelters every year. To break it down, that's approximately 3.3 million dogs and approximately 3.2 million cats. And those numbers still do not include large animals in shelters. Horses, for example, according to the NAHMS, at least 200,000 unwanted horses are euthanized or sent to slaughter every year. And the pet overpopulation continues to grow. So let's break it down. According to the American Humane, fertile cats can produce up to 3 litters a year in offspring. Each litter is expected to vary between 2 to 5 offspring. So let's pick a number in the middle, say 3 kittens in a litter. That is 3 new animals that need a home every litter. And if it produces 3 litters per year, that's 9 new animals added to the population of pets needing a home. And still, if those kittens aren't spayed and neutered, and they can produce their own offspring, adding another 9 animals per year, and it just keeps multiplying. The unwanted pet population just keeps growing. Some may argue that we can save them all. We can adopt animals from shelters and provide a home for each and every one of them. But according to the ASPCA, of those approximately 6.5 million animals that enter shelters every year, only 1.6 million are adopted. So what about the rest of them? Can they stay in the shelter until they're adopted or meet a natural death? That brings into light another issue: shelter capacity. Shelter capacity is not only determined by the size of the shelter or the amount of animals it can hold in its facility, but also the amount of animals it can provide humane care for. Humane translates to meaning having or showing compassion, in this case to animals. Humane euthanasia is seen as a last option procedure. By its definition, it is a humane procedure. As the unwanted pet population continues to grow, animals who don't get adopted may meet this fate. As sad as it is, the population of unwanted pets is out of control, and we just really can't provide humane care for every single one. But as we move in to talk about the conditions of animal shelters, we will understand better why it is not considered humane for an animal to spend its life in a shelter.
Hi, this is Vang, and I am for pro euthanasia. The reason why these are called turn away shelters is because these shelters, when they reach their max capacity, they can no longer bring in any other animals, and they must turn away these strays. Once they are full, and people who want to bring in any unwanted animals or pets have to wait on a waiting list that can take months, and by that time many people deal with these unwanted animals in their own ways. Compared to the traditional shelters, they will accept most animals, even if they are old or unadoptable, because they will humanely euthanize those. Living condition of no-kill shelters. With most no-kill shelters setups using older setups such as kennels and cages to keep the unwanted pets in. And also with their no-kill policy, these shelters become overcrowded quickly. Overcrowding leads to stress and spread of disease. One disease that has been proven deadly is distemper, and this is an oral disease. The end result is unhealthy living conditions for these animals and even death if not treated. Some no-kill shelters are free-range, but this unintentionally encourages fighting amongst the dogs. How people take matters into their own hands. Some animals in these shelters can be there for a month or even years until their dying days. But there have been multiple cases in which people who have been refused admission into these no-kill shelters because they ran out of space. In one incident, a man tried to turn in his unwanted dog but was denied and told to check back in 2 weeks. But instead, he threw his dog out of his truck and hit the dog, which resulted in the dog dying.
Hello everyone, this is Xiong, and I will be presenting on behalf of pro-euthanasia. Okay, so why we euthanasia? As much as we want to save them all, there are always going to be some that we can't save. Going from overpopulation into the old and sick animals that are just suffering to live on. Would you rather put the animals out of its misery or let it slowly suffer until death? Here's a picture of Diamond, a cat. Diamond was suffering from a painful facial tumor that was slowly eating away his face by PETA. Here's a picture of a dog. The dog was suffering from an advanced cancer, also by PETA. Here's another picture of another dog named Santana. Santana has facial injury so serious that his right eye was swollen shut and his jaw was ripped and hanging. And this picture was also by PETA. As long as animals are still purposely bred and people aren't spraying and neutering them, open admission animal shelters and organizations like PETA must do society's dirty work. Euthanasia is not a solution to overpopulation, but rather a tragic necessity given the present crisis. PETA is proud to be a shelter of last resort, where animals who have no place to go or who are unwanted or suffering are welcomed with love and open arms. That's because someone has to do it. And if nothing is done, the outcome would be devastating. Here are more reasons why. Some animals have birth defects that surgery cannot fix, and it causes the animal pain. Even though some animals can take pills to help relieve the pain, there are side effects of the pill that can make the animal suffer and only prolong its life by a few months with pain and misery. Also, there are some diseases that animals can get that are contagious and can result in the other animals that are in the shelters to catch it. Usually, those animals will have to be quarantined away from others, and with space already being limited, you can't afford to waste any. Limited supplies. The medications, vaccinations, and checkups are expensive to pay for, and the shelters usually never have enough money to help all the animals. Even with donations from people, supplies will always run out since there is already an overpopulated amount of animals roaming around. There are just never enough donations that will replenish the supplies needed to take care of the animals until they are adopted or who is ever adopted. Another unlikely humane death. Lethal injections will make the animals lose consciousness and then put the animal in cardiac or respiratory arrest. Shooting the animal with a gun will be fast and painless. It is sometimes and the only available method to humanely dispose of an animal instead of leaving the animal to suffer through a pain and slow death. Here are some factors for shooting as euthanasia. Local laws and regulations regarding this transportation and discharge of firearms must be complied with. It is the responsibility of the permittee and employees to ensure the safe handling and use of firearms. The careless, negligent, or reckless use of firearms is a violation of state law. The operator and firearm must be capable of producing a quick death by a shot to the brain of the animal. The animal's movement must be restricted enough to allow proper shot placement. The carcasses of animals killed by shooting may be sold if sale is otherwise lawful. The target animal will not need to be tested for rabies. The muzzle of the gun should be 1.5 to 2 inches from the animal's brain when using a .22 caliber long rifle mushroom shell or a .410 shotgun with slugs or pellets. The gun muzzle should be 39 to 78 inches away from the animal's brain for larger firearms, such as the .308 rifle. In general, the bullet should be directed so as to pass through the brain toward the spine. While exact placement differs slightly for each species, the rule of thumb is to draw an imaginary line between the right eye and the left ear, and the left eye and the right ear. Where the two lines intersect should be the bony ridge of the skull. Omnivore, to have the bullet placed just off center of the intersecting point, as to avoid the bony ridge. Direct the bullet so that it will pass through the brain toward the space of the skull, where it attaches to the spine. In this way, the bullet will cause a great deal of tissue damage and ensure a more humane death. Technicians should be warned that even a properly placed shot can result in the violent convulsions of the dying animal. The death is considered humane because the animal is unconscious during its passing. Behind the scenes, there will always be dirty work that needs to be done, and if nobody is willing to do it, who will? And that concludes our presentation on pro-euthanasia. And lastly is our work cited, and we thank you all for listening. You guys have a good night.